Everyone, the purpose of this video is to help you with entering in expressions that we come up with after using the quadratic equation. So if you look over here to the left, I have written out an example where I've already substituted the a, b, and c values into the quadratic equation. Couple things I've been noticing as you worked on these. The big mistake I've noticed is a lot of students are overlooking that you have two negatives in this portion where you're multiplying. So we're taking a -4 times a +4 times a -2. Try not to write this sign down until you look at all of the signs up here. So if I look at this, I see two negatives. A negative times a negative is a positive, so then I can write my plus sign down. If the second negative wasn't here, or if there was another negative, if there's an odd amount of negatives, it'll end up as subtraction. All right, so this is our expression that we're going to type into the calculator. And you can certainly type it like this, but I think it's actually probably a little easier if you just add or subtract these two numbers that you come up with and get one integer underneath the square root symbol. We call that a radical symbol. So there's two ways to do this. We can either do it on a TI-84 or a two-line display. It doesn't have to be a TI-84, but a two-line display is probably the easiest way to enter these. And what we're going to do is just type this whole expression in. But if we use parentheses, you actually can put this in one line and make it really easy to enter. So I want to show you how to do this on your TI-84. All right, so I'm going to put parentheses around the numerator, which also is the exact same way that we're going to do it when we enter it into the TI-84. All right, I separated it out so you can see that we're technically evaluating two different things. So the parenthesis key is right above the 8. And if you miss something, just pause the video and go back and rewatch that part. All right, since the first symbol is a negative sign, we have to use the negative sign, not the minus. So -5 plus the square root of 55. All right, now here's the kicker. To close these parentheses, the cursor is still inside the square root. So what we need to do is arrow to the right on your little left and right arrows here and get out of that square root symbol. Close the parenthesis. Whoops, I did it twice. I'm going to hit delete. All right, and then we can just go divided by, this was another thing that came up in some of my groups that we were working with in callback. You're going to divide by 8. All right, and I'll show you the difference here. So this is what we want to happen. Okay, some students are, and I'll show you this technique of how to get back up here in just a second. Some students are taking this and putting dividing by 2 times 4. Okay, we can't do that because from left to right, it's going to do the division first and multiplication second. The only way you could get away with this, or I'll just show you the answer. Okay, you notice we get two different quantities here. If you don't want to multiply those first, what you can do is go to the way you had typed it up above and insert parentheses. So I'll show you how to do the insertion part if you don't want to retype it all. Just hover your mouse or the cursor over the spot where you actually want to start typing. So I want to see a parenthesis here. So if I type it, it's going to replace the 2. But if I use this insert feature, so second insert, now I get a blinking cursor. That means I can insert things in there and it'll push everything else to the right. Okay. When I'm done inserting, I can arrow back to the right, close the parenthesis, and this expression now should generate the same thing as dividing by 8. And you can see that it does. Okay, so my first solution over here, if we rounded 2 decimal places, we need to look at the third, and that 2 is not a 5 or larger. So my first solution is going to be x equals 0.30. In Excel, or IXL, I think they wanted 2 decimal places. So even though the 0 is not really significant here, you still would have to enter that. Okay. Now, this is the other piece that I love about these two-line displays. Those of you that have TI 30 XIIS calculators, you can do the same thing. If you hit the up arrow, you can go back to the expression we just typed and arrow to the left to get back to that plus sign, because if you look over here, the next equation is identical. It's just subtraction instead of addition. So right where the plus sign is, I don't need to do insert. If I type right over it, it will replace what I see. You don't even have to arrow back to the right. You can just press enter, and there's my second solution. So x is equal to a negative 1.55. And these are our two solutions. So on our graph, this represents the 2 points where, oh, that's really bad. Let me redraw that. This represents the 2 points on the x-axis where the graph actually intersects the x-axis. So our x-intercepts would be a negative 1.55, just to approximate this. And our other one would be at a positive 0.30. And without giving you the equation to start with on this, you really don't know which way it opens, but you know, you can kind of see that that would represent the spots where it would cross through. Okay. At this time, go ahead and pause the video if you need to, and I want you to open up the website that I wrote down the other day. It's web2.calc.com. So again, pause it to get this loaded, and I'll show you how to type this in. You might have to, you know, rearrange your screen so you can see my recording at the same time you're typing this into the website. All right, so I'm going to actually resize mine so I can see the expression that I'm typing. So we're going to type the same thing in, but it's a little different on different pieces of technology. So this acts like a two-line calculator display. So we're going to still use parentheses. And I'm going to enter the one on the left here. So I'll do a negative, which is the plus or minus key on this calculator. So a negative 5 plus the square root, which is right here, square root of x, square root of 55. And just like before, we have to arrow to the, well, let me see. I think if we just close that parenthesis, it just shows us on the screen here that we closed the parenthesis for the 55. So look where my cursor is. Now notice to get the whole thing in parentheses, we still got to do one more. Okay, and you'll see here in just a sec once I put this division up, we're going to divide by 8. You can see it that it actually typed it correctly by looking up above, and that's one of the reasons I love this app. Okay, let's press enter, and there's your first solution. And notice again it matches what we have. This calculator app has the same feature as the TI, where you can literally go back to something you typed. So if you click on, don't click on the right side, click on the left side here of this original expression, and you should see that it pulls it back up on the calculator screen. So I'm going to change this to a minus symbol, and you can either hit this subtraction key, or on your keyboard you can hit the minus sign, which is next to the 0. So I just hit it on the keyboard, but again, you could hit subtraction. All right, if I press equals, that negative 1.55 does indeed match what we got earlier. All right, hope this helps. Have a good day.